Hi, I'm Rick and I like to make tiny trees. So in today's video we're going to look at, I believe this is a Picea Piccolo or Picea Piccolo. I can't remember exactly what the name is. Essentially a very cheap tree. I saw it, I was walking around B&Q and I saw it and I thought, oh, that looks a bit funky. Looks quite miniature. It reminds me of my Polycarpus Red Embers, but obviously a greener version. So as always, starting from the base, we're just going to clean out any branches that I'm not wanting straight away. So usually that's dead branches. Dead branches can go straight away. They're dead. And then it'll be more structural pieces. So I'm looking for places that have more than one branch, especially if they're strong branches growing from the same place. That's just going to lead to thickening that area, and then eventually that's reverse taper. Anything that's hanging down too low, things that are growing up too much isn't really a problem right now because I'm going to be wiring this, so it just depends. If they're growing straight up, then the bend will always look a bit odd, but it's not really a big issue. And then I'm just trying to expose some more of this trunk and expose some of the branches. Now obviously these branches are very long and leggy for how thick the trunk is. It's going to need a big reduction. I always find that when I'm looking at working on a tree, I would say about 60% of it is going to come off for it to reach the scale, and that's just because obviously the trees that I buy, the trunks are quite underdeveloped, let's say. You know, it's all like garden centre stuff. And then I'm going to move down to bifurcation, which is just essentially I'm just trying to get branches. So when a branch is split, it splits into two, not three. So you know, Picea always have this issue where they'll split into many branches from one place, and I'm just trying to make sure that I've only got two branches coming out of one place maximum. Again, causes inverse taper, and also it looks very messy. Now, of course, all these cuts I'm cutting back to buds, so there are buds that I can see on the branches. I'm not just dead cutting it back to no previous buds. Obviously, the problem with any kind of like elongating species, if you don't cut back to a bud, you'll probably likely kill that branch, especially with pines anyway. Picea are a bit different. You can get back budding from them, but it's just a safer way to treat the process is always cutting back to a bud. Quite a strange colouring on this tree, so I'll find that it's like a bit like a cedar in a way. It's like bright green on top, and obviously the new growth is really light green. Then underneath it's got like this bluish hue to it. It's like a bluey silver kind of colour. It's quite interesting. And I wonder how that'll play out when branches start to form and I can actually build some pads off of this. Now you probably can't see it in the video that well, but the base of this tree, the roots are kind of all grown to one side, and obviously I haven't actually repotted this yet, so I don't know what the whole root ball is like. But going off the roots that exist and the way the trunk's leaning, it looks like it's going to be a leaning tree more to the left, so the roots are going to the right as we're looking at it now. Eventually maybe potentially a root over rock, looking like it's grasping. I think that'd be quite a good idea. So one thing I definitely have learned through the years I've been doing this now is not cutting off too much at the beginning. I remember the first tree that I ever styled. I went quite hard with like the basic idea of when people talk about starting a tree, they kind of say that, oh, you need a left branch, a right branch, a back branch, and so on and so forth, and you kind of just you do that the whole way up the tree. I went by that literally when I got my first tree. I don't even know if I got a picture of it. If I have, I'll put it up. If I haven't, well, bad luck. But yeah, essentially it looked 2D, right? Because I literally had a left branch, a right branch, a left branch, a back branch, a right branch, and it kind of just looked a bit, it looked very unreal, put it that way. And I find that the longer I'm into this, the more naturalistic I'm going for as well. So when I design trees, I try and edge towards the more natural side. Now, of course, there are still bonsai techniques that you have to implement to keep the tree the way it is and build kind of pads the way you have to, just to get that scale right. But I'm not looking for absolute perfection in branch placement, because obviously it doesn't exist in nature either. Not just that as well, it also gives you more to design. So, you know, when it comes to wiring this tree, I'm going to have a lot more branches that I can mess around with to place, and it's important not to cut everything off before you get to the wiring stage if you're going to wire. Just for that simple fact that you might cut off too much and then you really haven't got a tree at all, and then you're waiting a year, 2 years to kind of get the new branches to grow back in so that you can then redesign the tree. And of course, like, no tree's finished within one go, right? This isn't going to be the finished article of the tree. But I do like to, you know, kind of make it semi-look like it's on its way. Let's put it that way. Now you can see what I'm kind of going for here. It's kind of like a semi-cascade, this branch on the left. Not that it's actually cascading, but it's going to be like a reaching out kind of branch. If it cascades eventually, I might go with that. And then obviously you've got a central leader here that's going to be the apex of the tree. Now my issue is obviously it's got a fair bit of movement in the base of the trunk, but there's nothing after that. So obviously when it comes to wiring, it's going to be heavy wire on the trunk to then get a bit more movement into it. Again, you can create its movement by cut and grow. I could cut its back, but being an elongating species, Picea don't grow too quick. I mean, that they bud and they push quite a lot, but it takes a while for that wood to actually thicken up to become a branch or anything like that. This is the end of the first part of the video. So I actually done this over 2 days. It took me a long time to actually just cut back in the first place. So again, I didn't cut off too much before wiring. So this is the end of day 1. And it's kind of what we're looking like just by cutting. And I mean, you can kind of see what I'm going for just by the clip and grow kind of method. And then this is the second day. So this is when I start applying wiring. It actually rained overnight, hence why the lights changed so much in the video. And the foliage looks a bit more glossy. I do sometimes fight myself about what kind of content I want to actually release and how, in what form. Obviously for me, I actually like doing the whole vlogging type situation, which is basically what this is. It's not really a tutorial, although you can learn some things from watching it, obviously. It's more for the fact that I can look back at my trees and look what I've done last time and see what happened and why. And also it's good for, hopefully it doesn't happen, but when trees do die, which I probably will kill several more in my time, I can look back and think, oh, is that why? Is that what I've done? Especially on the repot videos as well. It's quite good to learn from myself. With that being said, I do obviously do some tutorial videos as well, where I go through kind of how you should treat certain species, etc. And I like the switching up the content like that. My worry is, well, I say my worry, my question to myself constantly is, are the videos I'm doing too short, or are they too long? Now obviously you get click rates and, you know, duration of views and all that kind of stuff, and I'm not really into that. I mean, I'm obviously very low level YouTuber. I mean, I've got like over 500 subs now, which I'm very proud of, and thank you guys for. But yeah, I just think I'm not sure whether to make longer videos or short ones, really. Like, this one is going to be a long video, but that's because you can then see everything I'm doing, right? I've done a couple of videos, especially recently, where I've 2 times, 3 times the footage, so the footage is all sped up, and it just kind of looks like it's rushing it, and then it's kind of like, what's the point of me uploading videos that I'm just rushing through doing it? I'm uploading for the sake of uploading, kind of thing. And sometimes there is that as well. As I say, I like to look back at my videos, which is going to be, you know, sometimes it's the start of a species, right? So a new species I get, or a new tree that I get, I will sometimes upload the first video when there isn't much to do to it, just so that I can record that I've actually started to work on it. It also then prompts me to make future videos, because it's like, oh yeah, I've done this last year, and then let's do it again this year. It's like a self-schedule, really. But yeah, obviously this one's 20 minutes. I mean, obviously I'll watch some other YouTubers and people like Nigel Saunders, can sometimes upload 40-50 minute videos, and I'll happily sit there through them and watch them all, although he's got a very calming voice and demeanour compared to me. Yeah, I like watching long format videos myself. I know that more and more people are watching videos on TVs, so 8-minute videos sometimes are a bit annoying because you have to keep on going through another video. I mean, I currently watch a lot of streams on YouTube, actually. I mean, they go on for like 6-7 hours because I just find it annoying changing stuff over. I think people leave a lot of stuff just on in the background sometimes. So yeah, longer format videos kind of make sense there. Obviously it's very annoying to edit. The longer the video is, the harder it is to edit in a way. Just for downloading the file size and then uploading them, and then the things you have to do in between. Obviously, it's a lot less work with cuts and all that kind of stuff, because when you try and speed up a video, you have a few more cuts and transitions and stuff. But yeah, I'm just always a bit stuck with that. And obviously, I mean, if you guys have any input on which ones you prefer, obviously I don't make the videos for everyone else's entertainment in a way. I don't know if that comes across weird. I mean, it's my style, right? So I'm going to style trees the way I style them. Obviously, I'll take influence from people, but it is still my thing. I don't want to just become a generic, oh, let's just do what everyone else asks kind of thing. But obviously, you are my community as well, and it's nice to get a bit of feedback sometimes, so feel free. Just go easy on me. So anyway, getting back to the tree, as you can see, I've started wiring out this left-hand branch. So I just wanted to try and get this right. Now, I've always struggled with cascades a little bit in terms of how to build the branches. It's funny because I've watched loads of videos with cascade trees and semi-cascade videos. I'm like, oh yeah, that looks great in there. As soon as I try it, it just seems to look really unnatural. It's usually the bends, right? So when you're trying to bend a branch, you can end up with quite obtuse angles instead of acute. I was trying to think of the opposite. Quite obtuse angles, which doesn't look natural. Not in an old tree, you know. It's supposed to be more acute angles kind of thing, or more what I'd call bumpy kind of turns. I do find that when you use wire, this is when you get obtuse angles rather than acute angles, and the whole clip and grow method can give you better acute angles. So yeah, I'm not too sure how to really style the cascade part. I guess I'll just have to keep on trying with it and see where I get with it. So as you can see here, I've cut out on the pot like a little V shape. That's just to signal the front of the tree that I see for now, just to come to repotting time in spring. And there's going to be a lot of repots this spring. I've got a lot more trees this year, and a lot of the other trees that I've repotted either last year or the year before now need repotting. it's going to be an expensive spring for sure. Bonsai soil is not cheap. I like to make up my own mixes as well. I don't like to buy the pre-made stuff, just because I find that you can kind of customize it to each tree better. I've got some trees in 50% lava, 50% pumice. I've got other trees with lava. I've got other trees with pine bark in them. So yeah, you can kind of just make up your own things per species, per tree, and it kind of works out better. But yeah, so I've got a lot of repots coming up, and this will be one of them. I never like the kind of pots or soil that nursery containers, like nursery trees, come in. This whole mulch bark thing on the top kind of doesn't show you just how wet the pot can get. If you remove this kind of it's usually like half an inch. If you remove this half-inch layer of bark, then what you find is some really dark, loamy, kind of wet soil underneath, and this is where your trees can really, get into trouble. Obviously, deciduous species probably don't mind that too much, but anything coniferous usually likes a bit more of a drier atmosphere. I've got my big Picea, which was on a carving video not so long ago. That needs to be repotted because I actually potted that up 3 years ago now. Potted it up to thicken everything up, and now it's kind of at the point where I don't need it to be any thicker or bigger, and all it's doing is pushing growth, and obviously growth is good, but too much too fast when you're trying to stunt a tree or you're trying to make it into a bonsai, which is by stunting it, is a problem. So I now need to try and transfer that as best I can into a smaller container with bonsai soil, start the ramification process rather than just elongating all year round. And the same will go for this tree. I'm going to try and keep this quite small. I mean, the trunk probably needs a bit of thickening, but for the kind of size it is, I don't want to go too mad and then lose the whole shape of the tree. At some point you have to decide on what size tree you want out of the material you've got. Of course, I could probably put this in the ground and leave it for 10 years and it'd be a way bigger tree than what I've got now, but I don't always want big trees. I don't always understand the fascination with bigger trees. I think there's nothing wrong with having some Marmee, some Shohin. I forgot the other sizes, but some of the bigger ones. It's nice to have a variety rather than everything's like a big tree or everything's a small tree kind of thing. And obviously space as well, right? If you've been watching me for a while, I don't have a lot of space. So some exciting news, I actually got a brand new laptop the other day, which is my first new laptop. So my old laptop that I was editing on was, it was actually like a refurb unit. That was a gift, probably 2019, I believe I got that, because at the time I was streaming gaming. That's why I actually got the laptop. I didn't actually have one before that. And yeah, obviously it was getting on a bit. It was running out of space. Every time I tried some export a video, it wouldn't let me export it. I had to export it to a USB drive, and it was an absolute chaos. I have an iPhone, so to download videos, I was having to upload them to Google Drive, download them off of iCloud, all of this stuff, and it's all making the editing process very difficult, which then put me off of editing, which is why the videos kind of slowed down as well. So I've now got a MacBook, so I'm hoping that because it connects to the phone easier, I'll say I hope it does work. The only issue I noticed actually was that the microphone that I'm using to record these voiceovers is a USB-A type, and the new MacBook only comes with USB-C, so I've had to go and buy an adapter for that. But other than that, it's not a big problem, and it's running fine, and it's a dream. It's an absolute dream to edit on. But anyway, enough of my yapping about everything else. This is nearly the final stage of the tree, really. I'm just having some final touch-up moments here for this first styling. Final touches here and there. A branch not in the place that I wanted it. A few more cuts, and then we get to the final shots. And here we are then. I think it's looking quite decent. I think my styling over time is getting better. I look forward to this one growing on. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.